Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits. Let me say that again. I hope this show finds you in good spirits, because I need as many good spirits as possible. And I don't mean the liquor, okay? I mean energy, happiness, and love. How about that? Okay? We got some things we got to talk about today. Okay? It's not a super long live today. If you haven't been noticing, we did a couple shows on me and my sister's podcast over on The Real Beef with S&P. If you haven't gotten a chance to go and check out that show, please, by all means, please go check it out. We're talking about all things pop culture and all that stuff as well. We even dabbled into this topic as well. But please, by all means, go over and check out that show if you can. We're having a really great time over there. But I've been doing some shows over there for the past today. Okay, so I haven't been able to do much catch up on this platform, but don't worry, I got some stories for you guys, and I got a new one that I'm going to be sharing with you guys this evening that I really want to bring some awareness to, because it's not a story that it's a story that people are not covering, and people aren't talking about it. So I'd love to get as many eyeballs on it once it drops. It'll be the next video after this video, unless something big drops. Unless something huge and monumental drops between the time we get done with this live, okay? But if not, you'll be seeing that video, and I definitely want to bring awareness to it, because that family definitely needs help finding their loved one. It's a missing persons case for sure. Be sure to tune in, okay? Make sure that notification bell is on. So let's go into some of this housekeeping. Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to do that. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on Facebook, please and thank you. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that notification bell on YouTube and that notification bell on Facebook as well, okay? So that you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload and all that stuff, because it is random, okay? And don't forget to hit that follow button over on Facebook as well if you're watching over there. I see y'all. I see you guys lurking in the background over there on Facebook, the Book of Faces. I appreciate y'all, okay? And yes, I don't get to do this very often, but shout out to all the mods that are in the house, showing up and showing out and holding it down. I appreciate the mods in the chat, especially as of late, because it's been crazy, okay? It has been crazy, especially on this particular topic. Anyway, we have got to get into this conversation. As we see in the title, the thumbnail, etc., some real issues going on, and it's very not good. Again, like, I know we talked about something yesterday with the UK government sending out letters to all the major social media platforms, basically trying to block Mr. Russell Brand from making some cashola and all that. It is pretty shocking and surprising, mind-blowing, you name it, pretty crazy stuff. But now we got some new stuff, and this is not good for him at all. It's funny how it teeters back and forth, you know? It's like, oh, wait. Could this be a witch hunt? But then more accusers step out. And now we got another one. And this one is very surprising, very damning, very shocking, and I don't think it's very good for Mr. Brand. I'm sorry. It's not looking good for Mr. Brand. Now, doesn't matter what side of the fence you stand on. I get it. Some people are going to sit here and say some responses to this thing, and fair enough. Say what you want to say. Think on your own. Think independently. Think critically, though. Use your brain and your mind too, all right, when it comes to this situation. But nonetheless, no matter how many ways you look at this, no matter how many ways you fry this egg, it's still an egg. It's still really bad news from Mr. Russell Brand. We already knew in the very beginning, he came out with a video saying, well, this is happening. And we heard all that, where he said allegations are going to be coming forward that he absolutely, undeniably refutes, says that there are going to be criminal allegations and accusations made towards him, a litany of things coming towards him that are absolutely false. Then, of course, this article and a documentary came out within the same day. And of course, there was a lot of women that came out. 4 women, to be exact, in that particular documentary that stepped forward, got in front of a camera, and spoke their truth and spoke of these allegations. Then later on, more women or more people have stepped forward saying, this has happened to me as well. Russell Brand is a tyrant. He's a monster and all that stuff. Now, there's another thing. Well, actually, before we get into that thing, let me just preface this with, after those allegations and more allegations came out of other accusers, it was up to about 10 accusers as of yesterday. That's when we saw the letters that were written from UK Parliament to all these major platforms, basically saying, hey, what you gonna do about him making money? Because he's being alleged of being a monster. You're gonna let this monster make some monies off of your platforms? All of them except for one basically said, hell no, we're gonna rip that money, basically, okay? Roughly. We're gonna rip that money from his pockets. Hell to the no, right? Except for Rumble. Rumble stepped forward and said what they said. All right. Now, how these businesses or these companies want to conduct their businesses with Russell Brand, it's on them. I leave that opinion up to you guys. What say you on that? Is that a witch hunt? Does this feed into the conspiracy theory of it being that he's being targeted because of mainstream media trying to take him down and all that stuff? I leave those questions up for you guys to discuss in the comment section and in the family chat. But I say this, but I do say this, okay? Please comment, talk, converse responsibly. Be adults. That's all I ask. It's very, very simple. But now, there's been more. There's more. A new accuser has stepped out, has spoken out. And this is no bueno. As you can see right here, an accuser did say that okay, let me just say this. I'm going to be doing a lot of gymnastics here verbally. Okay? So just get ready for it, because there's some things in here where showing thyself, okay? With the bits. Showing thy naughty bits, thy nether regions, thy twig and berries. Not a very good thing, all right? These allegations are not good. But what makes it worse is that later on, he made jokes about this on his radio show. Yeah, not good. Not good. Not good at all. Let's get into this. We got to talk about this. We got to look at this. But like I said, I'm going to be jumping through this like, I don't know, like Dominique Dawes. Does anybody remember who she is? Who's another gymnast? I can't even think of any other gymnasts right now. But Dominique Dawes, that is some old school shiz. Let me just say that. But let us get into this. All right? This is bad. Okay. So the woman says it happened in 2008 when she was working in the same building as the BBC in Los Angeles. The encounter left her stunned, she says. Minutes later, he was recorded laughing with his co-presenter, who said Brand, quote unquote, showed his W to a lady Brand has yet commented on this latest allegation. His co-presenter, Matt Morgan, told the BBC he was not aware until now of the nature of this encounter. Now, let me just say this really quick, because we're going to be hopping in and out of this conversation. And like I said, it gets very choppy. We're going to be venturing into very choppy waters. Now, him making those jokes or making those comments and his co-host sitting there going, oh, I didn't know the nature in which he was talking about this encounter. His co-host may have been completely confused by it, thought that it was just a joke, making up content for the sake of something interesting to talk about on the radio show. I feel like he's kind of one to he's the one that's a little bit the wild child, and then the co-host is maybe the straight guy. He's the one who is very normal, talks about whatever's going on, and then you got Russell Brand, who's just flying off the hinges, right? You're about to spin off the planet, the wild child, the rock star, and then you got the regular guy who's there to kind of tether him back to earth and drag him back down, right? That could be it too. And then so he's hearing this story and he's like, wow, get out. You did that? No, that's crazy, Russell. You crazy, RB. You crazy, baby. That could be it too. Only to find out that these allegations was part of his bit on his radio show. Like I said, it's no bueno. It's no bueno, but let's continue. I'm sorry. It is the first time that Brand has been accused of this kind of conduct, and then her discussing that conduct. It also raises serious questions for the BBC about how that part of the show, which was pre-recorded, was allowed to be broadcasted days later. That's a question I'd like to know about BBC too. Hey, baby. Hey, BBC. Hey, BBC. I'd like to know some answers. I'd like to have some answers, some questions answered about that too. That's crazy. Okay? Crazy. But let's continue. The woman never made a formal complaint. BBC management was informed about the incident in 2019, 11 years later, but still it was informed to them. But no formal action was taken. And I want to know why BBC management did not do anything about this. Why didn't they do anything about it at that particular time? Or, yeah, I'm wondering if the BBC has ever come out and said, we tried to do everything we could, but we just couldn't do it. Oh, darn. Whatever it may be, right? But years later, she did tell them about this situation, and yet they still did nothing from what they know so far. But let's continue. In a statement, the BBC said it was sorry to hear the allegations and would investigate them as part of a review into Brand's time at the BBC. Now they're saying, oh, we're going to look into it now. We're going to look into it now. Our bad, lo siento. But we're going to look into it now. We're going to take matters into our own hands. But this was brought to their attention a few years back. All right. In 2019, four some odd years ago, and still nothing happened. Four other women we already know have stepped out to talk about these crazy allegations, these unthinkable allegations between the time of 2006 and 2013. So when this whole thing went down, which was 2008, was around the time when he was being alleged of doing some very, very bad things during that time period. That's not good either. The woman who we are calling Olivia worked for the media company in the same building as the BBC's Los Angeles office. In June 16th, of June 16th, 2008. She says she answered the door to Brand and his team, who were there to pre-record an episode of the Russell Brand show for Radio 2. She then went to the bathroom to get some sinus medication, walking past the radio studio. While squatting to look through the medicine cabinet, she says she felt someone behind her. She turned around to face a man's leg armpits. I don't know how to explain it. You know, the thing that meets in the middle. All right? Hold on 1 second. Let me just say this really quick. First off, Rianne, thank you so much for being a member for the past 9 months. I'm sorry. What's up, y'all? Just did my start of show dance as usual. Oh, thank you, Rianne. I appreciate you so much. And also, I want to say a big thank you to Raven McCall. Thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Welcome to family, every single last one of y'all. Jessica Moon, the combat drummer, gamer lover, Sarah. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the 5th? That's the question. Who's the 5th? Who is the 5th? I don't see the 5th, but congratulations to all you guys who became members. I really do appreciate the support. Thank you. And everyone, give Raven some heart emojis in the chat. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you so, so very much. Okay. So anyway, moving on. So yes, she turns around and bang, bingo, bango, right there in her face. I was startled and I got up and I realized it was the man that I'd let in. It was Russell. In the conversation that followed, she recalls him saying, "Oh, I think you're a bit all right. I think you're a bit, I think you're a bit all right. I think you're a bit of all right." She says he told her he was going to call her Betty. Okay. He was going to call her Betty. You know, I'm going to call you Betty. Yeah. When she said that wasn't her name, she says he replied, "Well, I'm gonna you." And she said, and I said, "No, you're not." She says he then pulled out on his hand, and this is pretty crazy, and pretty much served it to me as you would be serving someone some food. Huh? Yeah. So he came up to her and goes, "You know, I'm going to call you Betty." She said, "No, you're not." And then he just pulled out his bits. Like he was, "You want a granola bar?" Like that. That's messed up. "You want a cookie?" That's how he presented his bits. It's gross. She says the door to the bathroom was closed and she felt trapped. There was a bit of a banter going on because I didn't know what to do. Olivia says he then put it back in his trousers and she heard someone banging on the door. She says someone from his team called for him, at which Brand left. Olivia says she returned to her desk in disbelief at what had happened and texted a BBC employee in the office about it. He told her that he knew what had happened because Brand was talking about it in the studio. Get this. He knew because he knew about it because Brand was talking about it in the studio. Following the investigation by the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4's Dispatches program into Brand's alleged behavior published earlier this month, Olivia says she tracked down a recording of the program. The episode, which aired on the 21st of June, 2008, features this exchange between Brand and Morgan, his co-host. Let's take a listen, shall we? Hit the number one. Let me know you guys can hear this.
Also, Lucy Lawless, the Xena warrior princess.
1 second. Hold on. I'm going to play a little bit more. But, I got to be careful with all this, fair use type stuff. But Yogi, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, this is not good. Not good. And I will say this too. This is a completely I'm not defending this recording. I'm just trying to put your minds at where he was and what his brand, not Russell Brand, but the brand of Russell Brand was at during this time when he was on his way to Hollywood. He was in Hollywood already. He was in LA and he was already recording things for the BBC radio, for a BBC radio show. But you hear how he talks. It's a completely different guy. Now, obviously, it's a completely different vibe because I'm sure he is he's probably heavily saturated with all kinds of chemicals in his body right now. So, of course, his demeanor, how he talks, he's not clear-minded. This is a completely different Russell Brand from the Russell Brand that we know today. Just so you know. So it's very slurred, so on and so forth. Dory just said, so not posh. No, not at all, Dory. Not at all. Very not posh. Not at all. Okay? So, very much not what we hear at this point in his life. Completely different dude. Kind of a little bit, and if you look at this, it's kind of like, a little bit of country, a little bit of rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? Total two different dudes. Clearly, the show is called the Russell Brand Radio Show for a reason. And he just turns it all the way on. But at the same time, this is very, very bad. And we ain't even done yet. I mean, there's not much left in this, but I'm just trying to point out, he does admit live on the radio show that he is exposing his naughty bits to the receptionist. Let's continue. A merriment. Okay. Not the greatest. Not the greatest moment in his life to have recorded. And now it's been spat back all up in his face. And now he's got some explaining to do. He most definitely does. But this is the tough thing, okay? Let's be real. He talks about this. He says this thing. It is recorded. So let me just say a few things. But first off, we have the rest of the article, which we are going to be reading here in just a second. Let me get this super chat real quick. Panda, thank you so much for the £5. I really do appreciate it. I'm pretty sure the BBC broadcast. I'm pretty sure the BBC broadcast this at the time and did nothing. So they should also be investigated, held accountable as well as Russell Brand. I absolutely 110% agree. The fact that not only that this was recorded 12 days before, if I'm correct, 12 days before it aired, it still was aired. No one listened to the thing and said, wait a second, that's not right. That's not good stuff to put on air. We shouldn't be putting this kind of content out here. We need to cut this piece out, Russell. I'm sorry, buddy. At least that, I'm just saying. And then on top of that, going, did what you just said, is that true that you did to the receptionist? Is that really true? And then going to that receptionist or going to your receptionists and saying, during this time, we're doing an internal investigation on this matter. We're trying to get down the brass tacks. Were you the one who, we see the time that your shift was when you came in, so on and so forth. We know it's you that opened the door for Russell Brand. Did he really do these things that he said on the radio, on his show? Doing their due diligence. So BBC is in just as much trouble as Russell Brand in this situation. Now, if these allegations are true. The reason why I say if these allegations are true, let me talk about this really quick. And I don't want anybody getting mad at me or nothing like that, okay? I'm just putting out the possibilities of other sides of the fence, and there's many sides to this fence. Let's play this out really quick. Let's talk about the other side of this possibly being fake. I have to talk about it. What are the chances of somebody actually hearing this, knowing that he said this thing in the past? Maybe he really just said it as a joke and it never really happened, but somebody was willing to step forward and say, oh, this is what happened to me and it's recorded. You got to remember. Now, and I'm just asking that question. I'm not saying that I think that that's what it is. Just, I want to make sure you guys know that and you burn that in your brain. This is very bad. But you got to remember, this is a guy that's known to just shoot from the hip and talk crazy. He talks crazy all the time. What are the chances of him having hours upon hours, years upon years of verbal diarrhea coming out of his mouth where someone couldn't sit there and say, oh, that's perfect. That's a perfect moment. He said this. We can find somebody who can corroborate that story and say that he did that. I'm just saying. That's the only question I have. Yes, it's bad. Yes, it's very, very bad. Oh, it's very, very bad. But at the same time, I'm wondering, I could see the possibilities of a fabrication or someone using this opportunity of him talking crazy to spin. That's it. No matter what, this is no bueno, and this is very bad for Russell Brand. Very, very bad. Dory, thank you so much for being a member for 28 months. Dag. You know for a fact I got to applaud that. Well over 2 years with my crazy ass. Man, thank you. Let me just say thank you, Dory. You're amazing. Thank you so much for the support. And actually, just like Dory, I mean, she loved it so much. She loves the show so much and supports it so much. She's been here for over 2 years. So please consider joining the family by hitting that join button down below, okay? You will not be sorry. I'm sure Dory approves this message. Moving on to her comment. Wow, feels like yesterday when I joined my fave YouTube family. Love being here, Pascal, and my fellow Pascalians. I didn't even know that's what you were saying in the comment, but you approved this message. Hit that join button. Moving on. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you. We love you too. Okay, thank you so very much for your support. Every single last one of y'all. Seriously, even the ones that are in here just coming in and commenting, it really does mean the world to me. Okay, but I'm just asking the questions. I'm not sitting here saying that somebody came out of nowhere and fabricated this, nor am I saying that this actually happened. I'm just asking the questions that I think all y'all are going to sit there and say. In fact, I'm sure some of y'all are going to be like, I want to see video proof. I want to see security cam footage. I want to see proof of all of these things. Let me be real. I'm sure we all would like to see proof of that. Now the question it still remains. Do they have that proof or no? I don't know. But they do have a recording, and that recording's not good. No bueno. All right. Let's continue on, though. Shock and disbelief. Shock and disbelief, because we already heard the whole conversation here. Okay? This is the transcribed conversation that we just heard. Okay? And of course, he's singing "Ring My Bell" and all that. I've expressed regret. Express my regret now looking back at the impact of the show. And this is a further example. The recent coverage has been very distressing to read, and I reiterate my absolute condemnation of any form of mistreatment of women. This is a statement that was sent to the BBC via his legal team. This is what Morgan said. So I'm sorry, I went a little ahead. So I'm going to repeat that again. This is from Morgan himself, his co-host. He said, "I was not aware until now of the nature of this encounter. I have expressed my regret now looking back at the impact of the show, and this is a further example. The recent coverage has been very distressing to read, and I reiterate my absolute condemnation of any form of mistreatment of women." Olivia never made a complaint, but she had hoped that someone from the BBC would contact her after hearing the recording. That never happened. But that's the thing, though. During the recording, that was in 2008. Let me just get this right. Because when this whole encounter happened, it happened in 2008. They said it was June 16th, 2008. Okay, when they recorded this thing, when this whole interaction happened, he showed his naughty bits and she ran out the bathroom. He cornered her in a bathroom and he did these things. June 16th, 2008. Okay. Then the actual broadcast did not happen. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It did not broadcast until 5 days later. So the BBC had 5 days to go through that content to make sure it was kosher enough to air on the radio airwaves. And that passed right under the radar. 5 days for the engineer, the producer of the show, any other person to look through this and say, hey, we got to tweak this. We got to take this curse word out. We need to bleep this piece out, so on and so forth. Had plenty of opportunities from the moment of the recording, because there's an engineer in the room that's listening to this banter between the host and his co-host. They're going back and forth, bantering, having a great old time. Somebody's in the room twisting the knobs and, doing all the levels and all that, putting in the sound effects, the intro and outro, the music beds, all that stuff. Then they packaged it up, and they still have to have somebody to go through it and listen to it again to make sure everything is kosher, that everything's good, to make sure they're not saying anything that the FCC is going to look at and go, wait a second, no. He can't be talking about that stuff. What kind of stuff are you talking about? Etc. And yet this still flew under the radar and still aired. I've had my stint on the radio, y'all, so I know how this stuff works. It's pretty crazy. And what I just told you, it's a very rough, very watered down version, but there are steps that are taken before that episode, if it's pre-recorded, before that episode actually airs. They have to make sure all the T's and lowercase J's, all the T's are crossed and lowercase J's are dotted before they even air. Because God knows what some of these, especially when you have somebody like Russell Brand out here who likes to shoot from the hip, and it's pretty crazy and probably, high and drunk and all that stuff all at the same time. You got to make sure that whatever he's saying isn't going to offend or isn't going to get the FCC barking up your tree. Trust me, you don't want that. You don't. We're beyond, like during this time, we're beyond the time of Howard Stern. You know what I'm saying? That was a totally different time. Now, they're pretty hardcore and pretty tight-lipped. Okay? When it comes to stuff like this. And you know for a fact somebody like Howard Stern really pushed the envelope every single time he had an opportunity. They don't play like that no more. FCC does not play like that, bruh. They don't. So the fact that they went through so many different people and it got into so many hands, and yet still it still aired is mind-blowing to me. And then now you're hearing from Olivia, the woman who's being named Olivia, is sitting here saying, I was hoping that they were going to be saying something, but they didn't say anything. Okay. So she was saying, hey, you know what? I was hoping that they were going to do something, and they didn't do anything. When told the BBC staff about the story over the years, they would laugh it off, she said. We all did. It was shock in like, what? Did this really happen? In 2019, BBC management was informed of the incident by a BBC staff member who had spoken to Olivia. She says nobody from BBC management approached her directly about the incident, and no formal action was taken. Olivia says she feels let down by the BBC. What allowed that output go out like that? That's weird. What allowed that output to go out like that? I think that's what she's trying to say. What made the BBC think that it was appropriate to go out like that? I just don't understand why they didn't investigate this much sooner. And I suspect there's far worse in all those episodes that I can't even stomach to listen to. In his statement, Morgan added he stopped working with brands several years ago and, quote unquote, was never aware of any allegations of serious situations against him. He was not aware of any of those things during the time of working with Russell Brand at that time. Looking back on the time I spent working on the radio at the BBC, I am grateful to learn that a show I was a part of made colleagues uncomfortable at times. He added, the BBC Director General Tim Davie, who became the Director of Audio and Music at the BBC a few days after the show was broadcast, has already announced a review of Russell Brand's time at the BBC. In a statement on the incident, the BBC invited the woman involved to contact them. Quote unquote, we would be very keen to hear from her and anyone else who may have information, it said. And I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you there's going to be more women stepping forward. I guarantee you. The statement continued, we will, of course, speak to the Bureau team and anyone who was working there in 2008 as part of this. Further, the Director General has been very clear that some broadcasts from that period were and are inexcusable and totally unacceptable and would never be aired today. Brand resigned from the BBC in October 2008 after he and presenter Jonathan Ross left obscene voicemail messages for Fawlty Towers actor Andrew Sachs about Brand's relationship, his carnal relationship with Sachs' granddaughter. Olivia says she told her family about the incident last weekend, so they just got savvy to it. My sister said to me, why didn't you kick him in the nuts and drop an elbow on him? I couldn't have done that. What I needed to do was get out of that bathroom in one piece, which I did. Now, this is, like I said, not very good. And you have a person who's out here that is claiming that he did these particular unthinkable things randomly in a bathroom. And then he goes on air and talks about it like it's no big deal, like it's a joke. This is what he alleged. These allegations are still alleged, just so you guys know. But the fact that this is recorded and she knows and it's been documented and he's saying these things on air on his show does not help his side of the story, of any story right now. Again, there's many, many allegations that are flying like crazy right at Russell Brand right now. Whatever side you are on, like even myself, I'm still straddling the fence. But at the same time, you got a guy who's on the air, and I get the need to shock and awe, to keep the listeners listening, keep them going, I wonder what he's going to talk about tomorrow, or I wonder what he's going to talk about next week. However his programming is. I get that piece, but when you're talking about misconduct like that on air, that really needs to be looked into. That's not funny. Ever. That's not comedy. That's a crime. And he said it out loud, which is bad. So, and I get it, the Howard Stern approach, right? I understand the Howard Stern approach, needing to shock, needing people to keep coming back, create the circus, create chaos, keep it audibly interesting and entertaining. You can't have dead air. Never have dead air. Never do that. That's bad news bears. Trust me, I've been there. And I get it. But talking about this kind of stuff, man, you could talk about so many other things under the sun. Don't talk about committing crimes against coworkers in a building in which you record your show at. Again, it's not good. But I wonder what you guys think. Because I know a lot of people, this is very dividing. Some people say, hey, man, this man innocent. He innocent, man. I get it. I get your feelings. Trust me. I don't think, like, in this situation, it's a tough situation because we're only slowly, it's like a slow trickle. We're only getting bit by bit, right? We're only getting bit by bit. We're only getting a little bit of information every day. It's just a little droplet, and it's still like a surprise. But to me, this is a big piece that does not look good for Russell Brand. But I will say this too. Yesterday's conversation about those letters and all that were not a great look for the other side of the world, for the theories of conspiracy that are flooding Reddit right now like crazy and all over the internets and X and all that. Trust me, it's not great. Not great for that either. So again, you have somebody who allegedly committed a crime and then talked about it on their show, and that still aired. And then on top of it, you have BBC that sat there, knew about it, and did nothing. Someone in that place heard that radio show and let that fly because it was okay. It was okay. Whether or not that was true or not, they should have looked at that, heard that information, and really dove in, took the responsibility like they're supposed to as a company, and do an internal investigation in the situation, take matters into their own hands, and give that woman or other women the justice that they rightfully deserve in the situation. Because I'm telling you right now, if these allegations are true and that wasn't just a bit, okay, I'm sure there's other women that will be stepping out and speaking about this as well and their experience inside that building as well. Got to be careful what you say out here in these streets, y'all. You got to be careful what you say out here in these streets. And in a way, he exposed his own self. Pun intended. It's a double entendre. There's a double meaning in that, baby. He really did expose himself, unbeknownst to him this time, though. And I'm sure there's others. I don't know how long his BBC show was. I don't know how long it lasted for, but I guarantee you there's more stuff that he said that was not kosher at all on that show. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Really does mean a lot. Like I said, these are all alleged. As the truth or as more information comes out, hopefully within that information, we get more of the truth. So we will see as time starts to percolate. And I'm telling you, this snowball keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We got more information coming. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. All right. Y'all be safe out there. Be nice to each other. Okay. Let's see how this unfolds. But right now, the pendulum's going right back to, ooh, that's not good. That's no bueno. Anyway, guys. Oh, let me do this really quick. Let me kill this real quick. Panda, thank you so much for the £5. I didn't see this. I'm so sorry. But they said there may be another radio interview saying what? That he tinkled into a bottle and then showed himself. I think that also was live on air. Wow. See, that's not good. You see what I'm saying? Like that's no bueno. So that's, oh man, bad. All bad news bears. Again, he got a lot of splaining to do, a whole lot of splaining to do. And the more is coming. Oh, let me just say this too. And I'm going to lower the music just a little bit. This is a man. I want to point this out. This still doesn't mean that he was out here just doing all this crazy, all these allegations. But this was a man that was like betting 80 some odd women a month, if I'm correct. At least that's what he was saying in his book. Like his number is more than Wilt Chamberlain out here in this piece. So I don't know, y'all. It's a tough one. It's a very, very tough one. Okay. I mean, let's see. Sarah says, what's up, Sarah? Says, but are we surprised about any of this? Back in his crazy days, he's not been like that in years, right? I mean, that's what he says. Okay. That's what he says. And yeah, I've been hearing nothing but crazy stuff about his book. And in his book, he does talk about his addiction to the hibbity dibbity and, the sideways samba and how he would have many dance partners per month. And it would be a lot, upwards of 80 plus per month. That's a lot I'm surprised he doesn't have arthritis of the hips. Real talk. That's a whole lot of work. He putting in work. I mean, that's why he stays so skinny. I mean, that's cardio. Straight up cardio. Think about that. Anyway, guys, we're going to be talking about this more. We got more stories, more conversations to come. Trust me, it's coming. Trust and believe it's coming. Okay. But I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. Yeah, he had arthritis of the hips. Okay, man. I'm just saying. Probably rubbing Bengay on, on his saddles. You know what I'm saying? Like, geez, Louise. Anyway, it's a whole lot of shaking going on. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button down below. Send it past whatever likes it is at this point. That would really mean the world to me. I know there's a lot of other people that are covering this story as well, and a lot of them are on the other side of the pond. But this is still a very fascinating case to me, and I'm going to continue covering it whenever something big or interesting or surrounding this drops. So be sure also to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that follow button if you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm sorry. Okay. Make sure those notification bells on both platforms are hit to set up and all that, so that you know whenever I go live, because it's going to be random over the next couple days. Okay, guys? So I appreciate you guys for being here. It means a lot, and it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.